Welcome to Dr. Devin's Wellness Wednesday workshop, coming to you live from my backyard. Today we're going to talk more about goals. Last week we talked about where you are starting from. Today's episode is where you are going. Goals are very, very important. So where are you going? Right now, during this pandemic crisis that we're going through, you're not really going anywhere. But in the future, you will be going places. You can go wherever you want. But we have to know where our destination needs to lead us. So hopefully last week you spent some time journaling. Go back and watch episode number 60, Wellness Wednesday Workshop 60. If you have not journaled yet, stop the video right now. Go and do your journaling that I talked about last week so that you can know where you're starting from so that we can work on getting towards our destination, our goals. I will include the link below so that you can get started on that last week's video if you need to. So for the journal, on some categories you've done the journaling, you found that you're doing much better than you thought. You really dug deep. You looked inside your soul and you figured out, hey, I'm doing really good here. I thought I'd be like a 4 or a 5, but I'm an 8 or a 9. That's great. I want you to keep that up. You got to keep working on those categories that you're doing really good at to keep doing really good at them. Don't let them slip now. Some categories you thought, I'm doing amazing. I'm like a 7 or an 8 on my relationship. My wife loves me. I'm talking to her, or my spouse thinks I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. And then you talked to your spouse and they determined that you are not the greatest thing since sliced bread. So you need to discover who you are and who you should be. If you give yourself an 8 on your relationships and your spouse gives you a 4, then that's an area you really need to take a close look at. Your journal is like a launch pad. So it is there to launch you to where you want to be. It is not a wall to stop you from getting farther. So do that journal from last week or look through your journal from last week. So last week we talked about booking a flight. When you book a flight, you have to know 2 things: your origin and your destination. Your origination. When you did your journal, you figured out where you were at. It's just like if I'm booking a flight, my origination airport is CLT, Charlotte Metro Airport. Or Charlotte Douglas International Airport. Now, this week, we're going to start working on our destination, where we want to be 1 year, 5 years, 10 years from now, what our ultimate goals are. So to figure out your destination, it has to be specific. You're not looking for a flight in the radius of where you want to go to for your flight. You're looking for exactly where you want to go. Let me tell you a little story. If we are flying to visit my in-laws in Wisconsin, it's about a 15 to 17 hour drive. We usually make the drive, but if we are flying up there, there's no airports really super close by. Shout out to my in-laws, Len and Carol. Hello, good to see you. Glad you watch regularly. But if we're going to Wisconsin, we could fly to Madison, Wisconsin. It's an hour drive each way. So when we get there, it's an hour drive to visit my in-laws. We could fly to Milwaukee. That's a 2-hour drive each way. We could even fly to Chicago, but it's a 3-hour drive each way. It just depends on how much time we want to spend not being at our destination. So when we fly there, even though it costs more to fly to either Madison or Milwaukee, we always choose one of those two. Because we know where our destination is leading us. It's a family fun time. Yay! Even though it costs more and has more layovers, we make that determination on how much extra time it's going to take to get there. We have to really determine if those layovers and that extra drive time is really worth the cost. Most of the time, I'll choose Madison because it's only an hour drive away. So, in my example, my origin is Charlotte. My destination is Madison. Sometimes you'll go on a website and you'll say, pick a flight radius. And if that flight radius accidentally took me to Minneapolis, that's a 4-hour drive each way. That would not be helpful at all for my trip to visit my in-laws in Wisconsin. So your goals need to be intentional. They need to be specific to you. I mean, goals don't matter to me. I mean, my goals are not your goals are not my goals. But your goals need to be intentional and specific. If you have no goal, you could end up flying to Minneapolis when you want to be in Madison, Wisconsin. So Make the right choice on your goals. Your goals are only right for you. Where do you want to be in each of the categories? Be specific. In your faith, your relationships, your finances, your health and fitness, your work and business, and whatever other category you wanted to add to that. So there's one really neat thing I was just watching a video about today. They're called spider graphs. And let me pull up my spider graph that I had for you today. I specifically made this backwards so you could see it. So this is a spider graph. In the very middle, you have a category like health and fitness. Off of that health and fitness, the most important things are movement, diet, and emotions. So we start at movement. What movement-related activities do you want to either improve or start doing? So right here you see I have start. You could just start by moving around more often during the day. That's a really good place to start. Let's start at the beginning. So you could say you're going to join the gym. You could get an accountability person who's going to help keep you accountable to doing your exercise routine or your movement routine. You could just buy a kettlebell. That could be your goal right now. Another really great movement goal is getting chiropractic adjustments regularly. If you're not getting adjusted every single week, you're not doing the best for your body that you can. Your chiropractic adjustments improve your nervous system and improve your body over and over and over again. I've been getting adjusted once a week, and I'm nearly perfect if you don't ask my wife. So, you could also you could lose 100 pounds, run a marathon. For emotions, so in the circles are the big areas, and then the lines off are the things you're going to do for those. You could work to decrease your stress. You could work on forgiveness. I've done whole videos on forgiveness. Over here on diet, you could do intermittent fasting. You could increase your whole foods. You could decrease your calories. Stop eating late at night. Stop eating popcorn. Those are some good things you could do too. Another spider graph you could do. Here's one for finance. You could do your bills. You know, what are you going to do for your bills? Not the Buffalo Bills or your friend Bill. What are you going to do for your monthly bills? You could, decrease your cell phone plan. You could see if you're using all those 18 different streaming apps that you're paying for every month. Get a different tier on your internet. Whatever you need to do to get your bills better. For instance, going back to my in-laws, when they were here over Thanksgiving last year, we were like, hey, we're paying a lot of money for our cell phone. You guys are paying a lot of money for your cell phone plan. If we combine plans, we will each save money. So now we have a better plan and we're all saving more money every month. So figure out what you can do to improve your bills. Up here, debt. Pay off however much debt you have. You can work to consolidate your debt. My wife and I, we spent a long time working on debt. We're still spending a long time working on debt because debt is something that happens when you own a business. But when you start with working on your debt, lots of different ways to do it. My favorite way is the debt snowball. Look up debt snowball online and you'll find exactly how it works. But basically, you start with all your debts. You list them out. You pay off one debt and then you add that payment every month to the next debt. And then it snowballs, gets a little bit bigger. And then when you pay off that debt, you add it to the next payment, and that snowball gets bigger. And eventually, it's a giant avalanche going down the hill, going faster and faster and faster, helping to pay off your debt. It really does work. Let's see. Savings, you could just simply say, let's start saving. 20% of your income, that's really what you want to be focusing on saving. Or you could just talk about investing, like let's say invest 10% of our savings. Your income, let's see what we can do to increase your income by 15%. During this pandemic, when you've got a lot of extra time at home, work on figuring out things to make you indispensable at work or improve your skill set or even start your own business so that you are indispensable, you are making more money, and then you get out of this with guns blazing, ready to go, shooting for your goals. If you don't like pictures, you can do bullet points. But if you do pictures, you can just scroll through and be like, how am I on this? Yep. If you do if you like bullet points, bullet point. Yes, check. People who do bullet points usually like checks, if you didn't know that. So the two key takeaways from today. Be intentional and specific about where you want to go. You never hit a target that you are not aiming for. Shoot for the moon and miss. You might be landing with the stars. That's a terrible saying. Don't ever listen to that. Aim for the moon. When NASA was shooting the rockets into space, they were aiming for the moon. And guess what? They made it a few times. So the keys are be intentional and specific and be flexible. Because these goals you make today, they might not be the goals that you really want when you discover 6 months, a year down the line. You might discover that you don't really want that giant house with all that land because it's just a lot of extra work. So right now, you're going to stop, collaborate, and journal. Stop. Do your journaling right now. For this week, work on where your destination is going to bring you. Figure out the destination of where you really want to be. So you need to focus on, you already know who you are. You already know where you are. Now you need to figure out where you are going. Work on being a better you today than you were yesterday. Go ahead and like, comment, and share this. We will continue next week on our goals series. Next week is goals versus dreams. So have a great week. We'll see you next Wednesday. Bye.